Hi guys, my name is Jennifer and we're the Geckos. Today I'm going to be showing you the daily routine of how I feed and take care of all my animals. Alright, so one of the first things I do in the morning is I go over to my betta fish's tank and I turn on his light so he knows it's time to eat. So my betta fish's name is Haku. He is a platinum dragon betta fish. I just got him a couple days ago, so I'm not sure if he's totally trained to eat yet, but we'll give him some things. And next I turn on my Cresties UVB light for their bioactive tanks. And then down here I'll turn on Slinky's tank light. Yep. And then I'll usually open up Slinky's tank and I'll check his food. So he usually has a mix of mealworms, superworms, and dubia roaches in his dish. And he looks like he's eaten a couple in the past couple days, so there's still some in there for him. Next thing I'll do is I'll spray down his tank. So I usually spray down the hot side of his tank because that usually dries out the fastest. This side is usually pretty moist, definitely with the water dish there. But this is one of his favorite spots to hide, underneath his little log here. Next I'll spray down the Cresties tank in the morning. They get a light misting in the morning because the humidity is a little bit higher already from last night. There's kind of a dusting over of water. So in this tank we have Bowser. And in this tank we have Jupiter for the time being. And below Jupiter we have Peach. She is in a temporary tub because I am expecting eggs from her. Once she's laid those eggs, I'll move her out back into her tank. We'll spray her down. And that's mostly everything I do in the morning. Next thing we'll do is at night, usually after 6 o'clock, I feed everyone. Usually I feed everyone on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. The Cresties sometimes get fed only 2 times a week, unless it's Ripley, the little baby, he gets fed 3 times a week. But my fat tails get fed 3 times a week, and certain days are different, but I'll show you just kind of a general day that we do. Okay, now it's a little bit later in the evening. I'm doing it a little bit earlier than I usually would just because I don't have great lighting and I need some lighting. It's around 5 o'clock right now. I usually feed them around 6 or 7 o'clock so they're a little bit more awake. But let's see if they'll eat for us. The first thing I do, I'll pull out my cricket bin. And in here I have my crickets and my superworms. Let's pull them out. So in here I have my crickets. I just got them a couple days ago. I let them eat so they are gut loaded. I also have some carrots for them, and I also feed them this Missouri gut loaded diet for bugs. And for feeding the crickets, I switch between different vitamins to add for them. Today I will be giving them calcium. I give them the Repticalcium with D3. I give them this about 2 times a week. Usually Mondays and Fridays I give them this. And every once in a while I will give them this Herptivite multivitamins. Alright, so let's feed Chewy. Chewy, see the cricket? You got it. So for each feeding, I usually feed them about 6 crickets. Alright, and then I'll take Chewy out of his humid hide and put him in his little cool hide. There he goes. Because I gotta spray that down. He usually comes out to investigate a little bit. What am I doing, hon? And then I'll usually stir up his water dish a little bit and add more water. And then I'll add the top back on his hide. And he usually likes to go right back in. And then I usually spray down the outside of his little humid hide so the outside of his enclosure is more humid as well. And in the corner of his enclosure he has his little litter box. You know, geckos are trained, not really trained, geckos usually poop in one corner of the tank and he's chosen that spot, so I put a paper towel down so it's easier to clean up. I usually clean it out at least once a week and put a new one down with an old poop in it so he knows where to poop. Alright, and after I feed Chewy, I feed Nugget at the bottom and then Zelda, and they are in tubs just because it makes it a little bit easier. I had them in some 20-gallon tanks for a while, but it was just a little bit too much, especially since I'm going to be moving around a bit, so they're just in there temporarily until I move out of this place. Alright, now it's Nugget's turn to eat. What a good girl. And some people might say that roaches are better, and I totally agree, but African fat tails are such picky eaters. Like, all three of mine only like crickets. I mean, they'll eat, you can maybe trick them into eating a roach, but they won't willingly eat it. Then I'll move Nugget out of her humid hide and into her cool hide so I can spray down her humid hide. And then I add a little bit of water to her water dish. Hey, hon. And we'll put the lid back on here, and she'll probably go right back in. Alright, next is Zelda's turn. She actually looks like she's about to shed soon, but she'll probably eat for us. And then we'll also spray down Zelda's little hide. And add a little bit more water to the water dish. Hey, hon. And well, you can't go in there quite yet. We'll put this on. Move your head, hon. There we go. And now your head's on. Alright, then we're done with the crickets, so we will put those away, put their lid on, and they have food, so I don't have to feed them because I just fed them yesterday. And now we'll move on to the cresties. Alright, so I have all my dishes for my cresties. This one is for Bowser, and all the rest is for Jupiter, Ripley, and Peach. What I'll first do is I mix it all in here and then I just kind of pour it and separate it in there. I have a variety of Pangea mixes to choose from. I got this Pangea, banana, and papaya right here. I also have Pangea, just the papaya. Another favorite a lot of them really like is the Pangea with insects. That's probably their favorite by far. And what I've been using recently is this Pangea with insects growth and breeding because I have Jupiter and Ripley who are little babies and Peach who is expecting eggs. So I usually use this along with the papaya mixed in, so they seem to like that a lot. So I get a little spoonful of the growth and breeding formula and just dump it in here. And then I get a little bit of the papaya one and add that in as well. Just not as much. This looks like a good amount. And I can always add more later. They don't eat all of it anyways. Then I just spray some water in there, mix it around. And then I get my tongs and I mix that up. And what I found is that once you mix it up, it does seem to dry out a little bit, so it's always good to make it a little bit more liquidy. It's definitely hard for them to lick up the more dry kinds, so I definitely make it a little bit more liquidy so it does last a little bit longer, so if they don't want to eat tonight, they can eat tomorrow at least. And great. And then I'll pour that between the three. Alright, so just leave a small little amount for Bowser to lick up. I usually make a little bit more for Peach. And yeah. So I usually take Peach out and I feed her by hand because she doesn't do a very good job eating on her own in the tank. Well, she doesn't seem super hungry today, but we might try some roaches also. But for everyone else's, I take their old dishes out and I put them by Slinky's heat mat so that they can dry up and we can reuse them. And I put the new ones in. And I do that for everyone. So there's Bowser. Alright, and today is bug day, so we will be feeding the cresties roaches. I got them in their little bioactive setup here. I'll pull some out for Peach, Bowser, and maybe Ripley. Jupiter won't eat from my hand, so I'll just toss him in his tank. And we'll just toss one on here, see if she'll like it. Not care. Peach she doesn't care about bugs today. Right, now we'll try bugs with Bowser. I usually only feed them a couple roaches. They usually don't need that many. Good job, Blizzard. Good job, honey. Alright, now we have Ripley, and he's a little bit too small for most of my dubia roaches, so I usually feed him some wax worms or mealworms. Alright, and then I go through and just spray everyone's tank down again. And then I'll also check on my springtail culture and see if they could use some extra rice. I'll add a couple pieces. And I'll also check up on my isopods, and their lettuce still looks good and their substrate is still moist. I just took care of them a couple days ago, so they are still doing fine. Usually every Monday I give all the invertebrates and insects fresh food and touch it up throughout the week if they need more, but usually they do fine without adding more. Alright, and all that's left is usually after 12 hours I'll turn the lights off, which it hasn't been yet because I did this a little bit early. But that's how I take care of all my animals. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Make sure to subscribe and follow us on Instagram because we post pictures every day. The link is in the description below. What's up? Boop. Jinx. Boop. Oh, Jinx. Boop. Oh, Jupiter, you pooped on me. Oh, Jupiter. Thanks. Oh, jeez.